Both men fatigued. They've beaten each other senseless in this confrontation for the heavyweight championship of the world. November 26th, 1987. Ric Flair versus Ron Garvin at Starrcade, the UIC Pavilion in Chicago, Illinois. If we don't take it seriously, then the audience won't either. It's true of any form of entertainment. Why does that song hit you in a certain way? Or that scene resonates? Because they're delivered to you in such a way that it makes you emphasize and makes you feel. Empathize and feel. And not just in the ring. Back in the old days, the top guys would take the art of selling up a level by making it present, not just in their ring work, but in the overall presentation. It was their job to make you believe that their whole life would be made or broken based on the outcome of their next match. And some did it by convincing themselves first. Both men fatigued. They've beaten each other senseless. Story time here on Chaos Corner on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. Sit back and relax, and let me take you on this journey. You look at Steve Austin during his Stone Cold run, and you could see in his eyes that he believed every single thing he was spitting down the camera. Superstar Billy Graham couldn't wait to find a microphone to amplify his braggadocious rants. They weren't playing who they were. They were who they were. Or at least a version of who they were. I say that all the time here on Chaos Corner. Thanks for being here. Much love and respect. I can't thank you guys and gals enough. Shout out to my two loyal moderators, Austin Nance, and of course the OTS Tribal Queen. I couldn't do it without you. It's been said that it's harder to sell a product you don't believe in. Well, in our world, you're the product you're selling. And your performances on a weekly TV and in airports and bars and driving around towns are all opportunities to do what, fans? To do what do we say here on the channel? Sell, sell, sell. And then when you're done, sell some more. That's never more the case than when you're the world's heavyweight champion. And on late November night in Chicago, with me about to call my first ever pay-per-view main event, the one man who most obsessed with being or becoming yet again the world's heavyweight champion was about to make his entrance. Boom, 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 boom. Do 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 do. Boom, boom, boom. Do 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 do. You guys get it, right? In 1987, the lights hit. The music most synonymous with the NWA main event spot blared over the speakers in Chicago. Some might know the arrangement as Also Sprach Zarathustra. Let me say that again. Also Sprach Zarathustra. But we wrestling fans know it as the calling card of the dirtiest player in the game. From a cloud of dry ice, a silhouette appeared, walked into focus, white robe with gold trim, loud attire but a steely stare. The audience tried to make contact with the man as he walked that aisle to the ring like only he could. He was focused, his legendary loud mouth shut His platinum blonde head bowed slightly in concentration. One twirl for the audience to drink him in, and he entered the cage just as his music peaked. This was the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and nobody believed it more than he did. Nobody felt it more than he did. Nobody sold it more than he did. We cut a whole shot of him in the center of the ring, bathed in the strobing light, surrounded on all sides by legions of fans. He was ready to go to the wrestle in the main event, and I was ready to call it. This was a step for me and my skills, to quote good old JR, because business is about to pick up. And I knew it. That was Ric Flair versus Ronnie Garvin for the NWA World Heavyweight title. Remember, fans, we're reading this together for the very first time, live here on Chaos Corner, on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel, for the very first time here on Storytime. That's why I say kick back and relax. Enjoy the history, the facts, the knowledge, so that when you leave here, you come away and walk away with something that you've learned that you can add as a fact, information when you go to your next venue, barbecue, event, water cooler, work, hanging out at the bar, the pub, the restaurant, so you can add something to the fucking conversation that you learned here on Chaos Corner. That's why you're here. My over 50 years as a researcher, a historian, a student, a scout, an agent, a producer, a sweeper of floors, a smark. That's right, a mark. I said it, I'm a mark too. We're all marks. And of course, my over 3 decades on the road, pillar to post, coast to coast, border to border, booked 100 times plus a year, which means I came out 2 and 3 times a night during those shows as a pro wrestling manager over 3 decades who took the fucking bumps. And that's the difference between this show and everybody else out there in the podcast world and the IWC, because of where I come from, what I did, what I accomplished, who I am, my experiences as an insider that lived the life. And don't just come on here and give my views and thoughts and opinions without knowing what the fuck I'm talking about, or at least experiencing the business, like most of you who are watching and have your own shows have no idea of what the fuck I'm talking about. But that's okay. No better than anyone else. That's for damn sure. Just unique. That's what you get here. Take out your notebooks. Spread the word, drop an elbow on that like button, leave a comment, get us into the algorithm. 3,500 videos here on the channel. Everything from my in-ring career to everyone I've ever worked with, to Chaos Clips, to the over 400 episodes of Chaos Corner. My show with the wife called Dinner for Two is up here on the channel. Chaos Clips, as I said, over 700 Chaos Clips. Story Time with the GOC. Flashback, where we go through matches from 30, 40 years ago, collected here on VHS of all things, from the vault of Chaos Chronicles. And then, of course, there's This Date Today in Pro Wrestling History, which is another show that is done here at Chaos Corner. You guys aren't going to want to miss what you get here. There's no super walls or PayPal or super chats or paywalls. I think I said that already. Venmo, PayPal. None of that happens here. You want to come and join in. It's, I don't know, $2 or $3 a month to be a member. And you get me and the Learning Tree. Not Chris Jericho. The GOC. So let me get back here and, you know, we're 25 feet below the surface of the earth. You know that, right? Focus, Chaos. It's the beginning of the week. We're coming out of a great weekend with all the insanity going on in this world with wars and politics and presidents and vice presidents and nominees and candidates and border invasion and crime and Israel, Ukraine, Russia, China. I could go on and on and on. Let's not forget the danger in the Middle East, and it's all coming here right to this country. Stay mentally, emotionally, physically, and especially spiritually fit. Stay with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people you feel you can trust. Because when it's SHTF, it's going to be every man, woman, and child for themselves unless you know your community and your people. Open up the good book. Lay it at his feet. Pray to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because if he's for us, no one else can be against us. And that's just a fact. So if I could throw that out here in the middle of what I do here for Chaos Corner, that's part of this platform. Showing you who I really am. This isn't just a gimmick or a persona. It's a combination of mixed into me, the GOC, Jay Brony, Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian, Big Daddy, all of them rolled up into one to who I am as a father, a husband. That's right, an uncle, a brother, a friend. Put that in your pipe and smoke it to everyone out there who wants to be divided and feeds into everything and comes onto your timeline and starts questioning who you are. Get the fuck off my timeline. You don't like what I have to say? You don't like what I'm presenting as a product? You don't agree with me? That's great. That's all well and good. But when you come onto my scene and start questioning what I'm saying and don't expect a response back and then get all triggered, do you, man. Be you. I'll leave yous alone. You leave me alone. Don't jam it down my throat, because I won't stand for it. It's just that simple. I believe what I believe. And that's the big man upstairs in the good book. So let me just get that out of the way. This is very, very important in this day and age, and we're this close to what's going on in this world. I don't even have to get into digital currency and the WHO and the WEF and the alphabet mafia and racial division. I don't even have to tell you that, because if you turn on the TV or social media, anywhere you go, that's what you get. I'm here for a distraction, hopefully. You can see it's on my mind, it's on all of our minds, and it does need to be addressed, to put it out there and then move forward. It's just that simple. That's why I do this at 12 minutes in here, my opening monologue as I started here. In order to get respect, you have to start with respecting yourself. Once you do that, you open other people's minds to respecting you. Because there's three kinds of people in this world, along with three types. Those who don't know what happened, those who wonder what happened, and people like the GOC and my people that make things happen. Sorry to be a little cantankerous here, but I have to spread the word. That's part of my mission down here. Not only as a motivation, a distraction, entertainment, letting you know who I am, but also to inform. To give some information out on what's going on in the real world. I don't know anything. And I certainly don't know everything. But what I do know, I've researched. I usually don't make a comment and become fervent on things unless I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Or I've done some research, and I can be wrong too. Let it marinate and sink in as we get back into business is about to pick up. Remember where we are here. We're in the time machine on Chaos Corner for story time. November 26, 1987. Let's go back to the UIC Pavilion in Chicago. We just heard the legendary entrance of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. In 1987, the lights hit. The music most synonymous with the NWA main event spot blared over the speakers in Chicago. And I already said this, but we're going to say it again. Some might know the arrangement as Also sprach Zarathustra. I said it the same way. The dirtiest player in the game, the Nature Boy. From a cloud of dry ice, a silhouette appeared, walking to focus, white robe with gold trim. As we already said, one twirl for the audience to drink him in, and he entered the cage just as the music peaked. So now we're back and caught up into real time. This was Nature Boy Ric Flair, and nobody believed in more than he did. Nobody felt it more than he did. Nobody sold it more than he did. We cut to a wide shot of him in the center of the ring, bathed in strobing lights, surrounded on all sides of legion of his fans. He was ready to wrestle in the main event, and I was ready to call it. As we give you the synopsis, to go forward, to go back, and back to go forward. This was Ric Flair versus Ronnie Garvin for the NWA World Heavyweight title. Both men knew the price it takes to win, what you got to do to get your hand raised, and never has a match had more important than the match the fans around the world are about to see right here live. In 1987, The Simpsons, let me say that 3 times fast. The Simpsons, you know, Bart, Dude, so on. You guys get it, right? Supposedly, they put a lot of things out there that end up predicting the future. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. The Simpsons first appeared on our screens in 1987. Guns N' Roses released Appetite for Destruction. Welcome to the jungle. No, too soon? Too early? Too much? Owen Hart won Pro Wrestling Illustrated Rookie of the Year, and WrestleMania 3 cemented wrestling as a pay-per-view behemoth with the historic Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant main event. It was the new model of the pay-per-view that WWF's competitor and my new employer, Jim Crockett Promotions, was keen to chase. Not only could wrestling companies now change those in attendance for wrestling cards, charge those in attendance. You knew what I meant. They could also charge anyone at home who wanted and wished to see the action on their TV. The market size moved from how many people could you get to watch in a building to how many homes could you get to watch around the country. As I get a little tongue-tied there. That evening, we were at the end of a whole night of firsts as Starrcade, NWA's first ever pay-per-view offering, rolled into its final match. Everything Leroy and Bill and my years calling studio matches taught me, I was here to use. This was national. This was the NWA World title, and it was on pay-per-view. Bring it on. You're probably wondering what happened that I ended up calling NWA. Didn't Mid-South go national? Are you still wearing awful suits on TV? Well, the answer to those questions is yes and yes. You see, in 1987, there were only a couple of national slots airing professional wrestling. Vince McMahon already had one of them on USA Network, and he wanted the other on Ted Turner's superstation TBS. Back then, companies bought time on the networks, rather than today's practice of the networks paying companies for the rights to air their shows. Now, see the change from the 80s into the early 90s and what happens now in 2024? Back then, companies bought time from the networks. Let me say it again. The companies, WCW, Jim Crockett Promotions, World Wrestling Federation, they bought time slots from the companies, USA, TBS. So the companies needed the TV more than the TV needed pro wrestling. Aha! Voila! How things turn around. Because then it turned to rather into today's practice, which I'll say is the last at least 25 years, maybe longer, maybe 35 years. And we're what, right, the networks, rather than today's practice of the networks, I have amnesia and deja vu at the same time. I think I've forgotten this before. The networks paying companies for the rights to air their shows. So you see how everything went full circle. The company's promotions booked and paid the networks. And then years later, because it got so hot and blew up so much and did become mainstream, and everybody wants to be a pro wrestler. We seen that by the Tootsie Roll guy. Let me see your Tootsie Roll. Your Tootsie Roll. Well, no? Oh, let me see your Jelly Roll. Your Jelly Roll. Oh, let me see your Jelly Roll. Your Jelly Roll. Everybody wants to be a pro wrestler. No, it's no offense, no disrespect, Jelly. You can sing, man. You're coming around. Yeah, you can't make it up. So back then, the companies bought time on the networks. I'm repeating again just to stay us in focus. Rather than today's practice of the networks paying companies for the rights to air their shows. Think about that. This is reality. But when McMahon made an offer to Turner to buy Georgia Championship Wrestling's time slot from under them, Ted wouldn't budge. It turns out that Ted was a longtime wrestling fan, and he already had his tried and true programming airing in that coveted 2-hour slot with NWA territory Georgia Championship Wrestling. That should have been the end of that, right? But the aggressive McMahon, that's good shit, pal. No offense, man. Lighten up, kayfabe. If you know, you know. He simply figured if he couldn't buy the time slot from Turner, that he would buy the company that contractually owned the time slot. So he took his offer directly to GCW instead, and they accepted. Vince McMahon got his way. He did good and revolutionized. He also destroyed and took down. That's just the facts. With that, not only had McMahon locked up both national slots, but he was going to be using one of them against the wishes of the guy whose name was literally in the station's call sign. Hello, McFly, is anybody home? So stuck with Vince on his network, Ted Turner called Bill Watts to put Mid-South on TBS as an alternative to the invasive Yankee New York wrestling. Well. And all of a sudden, not only was Mid-South on national TV, it was also pulling in a higher rating than the WWF. The Southern audience didn't want Vince's brand of wrestling with wrestlers who they didn't know. His first day on the network became known by fans and everyone in the business alike as Black Saturday, because their beloved GCW was canceled for a wrestling show they didn't like or ask for. Excuse me. You asked GCW? I see in the chat someone has referred to GCW. Really? I mean, I love you, man. I respect you. But do you have the brain of a dehydrated BB? Georgia Championship Wrestling. Oh, well, you're welcome. Vince was losing money, courting and dwindling fan base, and could also see that Turner was lining up the better-rated Mid-South for his time slot. So the New York promoter sold his TBS contract to rival promoter Jim Crockett for $1 million. It's all coming together, fans. You want to learn about the documentary they just had on Vice or whatever, Who Killed WCW? You had all the talking heads on there. You've read things. You've heard Cornette. You've heard from the Crockett's themselves back in the day. You've heard from everybody's brothers, mothers, uncles, dogs, cats, and sisters' ass about the story where here comes a guy who lived it. Was there. Hello. Where were we? Vince was losing money, courting dwindling fan base. We already knew that. They weren't happy down there in Crockett territory, Mid-South, TBS, Georgia, Mid-Atlantic, Florida, whatever you want to call it, man. The NWA. So the New York promoter sold his TBS contract to Jim Crockett for $1 million. Again, that's been come up time and time again on different shows. Well, podcasts, because there's our podcast. This is a show. Even though Vince knew Crockett was trying to assemble all the NWA territories under one national banner to rival the WWF, McMahon needed the money to finance the birth of a little idea he had going on called WrestleMania. This is how the story goes, fans. There's inaccuracies, there's accuracies. It depends on who you believe and who you talk to and who was there. And that doesn't mean that you know everything. This is history right here that you're listening to. Appreciate it like I do. This is my much love, needed motivation, passion, stress reliever, all wrapped into one, and my legacy. This left Mid-South needing to expand faster than ever to try to compete with Crockett and Vince. We were both chewing up all the stations, buildings, and talent that they could stomach. But as we over-leveraged ourselves trying to scale, a sudden recession and our key markets left us vulnerable. Kind of like what's going on right now and what went on in 2008 and 2020, now in 2024 into 2025. I can go all the way back to the 70s recession if you want to. Remember, I was born in the 60s, raised in the 70s, and learned more than you can ever imagine into the 80s. By the 90s, I was already molded into the steel that I am, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Life lessons. I'm not saying I'm always right, just like none of you are always right. But I try to be righteous and informative and well-read. That's what I try to do here on this channel. Not just be a joke, a chicanery, an outfit, a persona, a gimmick. This is what I wear in the streets anyway, minus the chains, unless it's winter time. So what you see is what you get here on this channel. I want to relay that as I read the seriousness of this story and this business and what I'm all about, where I come from, just to give you guys insight. I've been getting a lot of emails back and forth, a lot of inboxes. You guys know how to get in touch with me on the 2 email accounts. Chaos Big Daddy, the number 2. That's right. CHAOSBIGDADDY. Chaos Big Daddy, the number 2, all together at yahoo.com. Reach out to me. Give me the fan mail, the questions, anything you want to know. The box is right here. I have about 20 letters in there right now that I'll open up later. On my second account, which I read, and I go in both these accounts daily. You could also email me with anything you want to talk about. Just keep it respectful. My wife will kick your ass. If my wife won't, I will. And if I won't, my son-in-law. And if not my son-in-law, my brothers. And then all of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. So let's keep it real here. Second email is Chaos Big Daddy, the number 11. That's right, 11 at gmail.com. Let me say it again and spell it out. All one word, all together for all you geeks and nerds and dweebs and neckbeards and virgins and mouth breathers. And what I say, man, no offense. I keep telling you, come here, you got to lighten up, man. You got to be a little bit of a stone crusher. So let me spell it out. CHAOSBIGDADDY, the number 11 at gmail.com. Those are 2 ways to reach me. It's almost impossible not to be able to get in touch with me. If you follow me on X, aka Twitter, it's at Big Daddy GOC, and the GOC stands for the Guardian of Chaos. So over on X or Twitter, which a lot of people don't like, but it's very informative, you get it fast and furious over there. And if you can stay away from the ignorance, you'll be okay and be able to use it for your own personal pleasure and what you're trying to promote about yourself. So over there, you can inbox me at any time. No dick pics, no nude pics. I'm married, not into all that. Male, female, however it is that you go, I have a wife. So I felt like I had to say that, man. So inbox me, and again, at Big Daddy GOC over on Twitter. You can always follow me on Instagram. I'm on there weekly. A simple account, shows some promotionals, a lot of videos, a lot of cool pictures, and that's at the Guardian of Chaos on Instagram. On Facebook, there's 2 accounts for promotional reasons and to mix promotional stay in touch with people and my own personal life. So that's why 2 accounts. You find everything wrestling related over there to spiritual things. To me and my family, as I don't hide behind a fake number or letter or avatar or anything like that, I bring into my life. So over on Facebook, for all you with the brain of a dehydrated BB, it's Jay Brony. That's right, Jay, Brony, Broni, Jay Brony, jabronis. And then, of course, in honor of my heritage, this one's a little more private, but it's public, so you can see it. And if you let me know who you are, I'll accept your invitation to be a friend. Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian. Say it again. Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian. Those are the 2 accounts on Facebook. I'm also over on Rumble. I check in to see some of my close friends over there, including Ballyho, Mr. Rotella. I'm a part of trying to help build the dome over there on Rotella Streams. My boy down south living in the Sunshine State. Not only is he entertaining, smart, informed, educated, school of life. He's easy on the eyes too because he's very witty. He's got the women going crazy down there in FLA. Anyway, that's why mainly I'm on Rumble. Council of Time, but because of Rotella Streams. Ballyho, Mr. Rotella. And Sharon's here. I know you're watching. David's here. Appreciate you guys, your moderators. Keep forging, Rotella. The grind is real. And I know you that. Know that. I've been with you since day one over at YouTube and the NWA. Not too many around here, lurking or not, that have the history we do, brother. Follow me on Rumble as well, the Guardian of Chaos. I do it all in the IWC, and I even throw in reality. Let's get back because business is about to pick up. We're 30 minutes in here, man. With the writing on the wall, I brokered a deal for Crockett to buy Watts Company. As a part of the deal, our new owner wanted to keep our titles, some talent, and, well, me. So that's how I ended up at Starrcade. My first time working a pay-per-view, my first time working with the NWA, and my first time in the booth with my now longtime good friend and fellow AEW announcer, Tony Schiavone. Well, that's me saying that. Tony Schiavone, who I thought was pretty dang good back in the 80s as well. In the 90s, it got a little shaky. In 2020 and moving forward, let's just face it, you're weird. Isn't that what you liberal progressives say out there now? No offense, man. No offense. Hey, be you, do you. Don't jam it down my throat. I won't jam it down yours. But you certainly like to twirl and twirl and toil and stoke the pot. Just because you think you're a snake in the grass while you're poking the bear, you got to get up really early in the morning to be ahead of me, mentally, emotionally, or any other way. Everybody thinks they're a smart guy and a wise ass and a smart girl and a wise ass girl. That's from the heart. Research. I'm not always right. Be the first to admit it if you know me. But I'm also very rarely wrong and well read. I've already said that. I'm just throwing out messages here. The emails are open. The inboxes are open. We're trying to keep it focused, but a lot of people lately, you know what they're trying to do around here. That's why you stay close. If you know, you know. And I hate saying that. Queen, are you with me? Austin, are you still here? Are you with me? Wow. Looking back at the video of that night, I'm pretty sure Tony was in a booster seat. As he's a foot taller than me sitting down, when he is a foot shorter than me standing up. There's a lot to be said by that. Even the politicians are wearing lips, man. What's going on? Be you what God gave you. Don't try to change what God gave you. Botox, plastic surgery, penile enlargement. I don't know what it is that you do, man. That's what God gave you, no matter how you're feeling in here, or certainly up here. feel and look and read up there and you'll be okay. It's what God gave you, your mother and father gave you, and the history and generations before that. Don't question that. That's evolution. Science 101, History 101. Is anybody taking notes? I don't want to hear anything from you. Yeah, she's sitting here in the front row. You know the heat. Ric Flair is very resilient. He has a very high threshold of pain, but when you talk about pain, Ronnie Garvin takes you to a different level. Hands of Stone, not only Roberto Duran, the Mano Di Pietro, Ronnie Garvin. Rugged Ronnie Garvin. Another one of the firsts that night was also, in my opinion, an error of judgment on the part of management. This was the first Starrcade event held outside of Greensboro, North Carolina, and maybe a sign that my new company was more focused on chasing new national TV audiences than it was in serving the audience who already loved it the most, their backyard. But they were paying me to call whatever I saw in the ring, and like Ted DiBiase said, including JR's admitting right here, every man has his price. When you live in a manly world, a fleshly world, it's that simple. I didn't say that I didn't have a price. You didn't ask me that. But they were paying me to call what I saw in the ring. It's the best way I could. And man, what I saw that night was magic. Both men, fatigued. They've beaten each other senseless in this confrontation for the heavyweight championship of the world. I was 35 years old, and even though I wasn't nearly as good as I thought I was trying with everything I had at that time to match the intensity and the passion I saw playing out in front of me in front of the ring. Both champion and challenger chopped the hell out of each other. Flair bound all around the canvas while Ron walked him down, never backing up, never giving an inch. And after 15 minutes of war, both men, now bloodied and beaten from trading chops and pinning attempts, finally, with the crowd in the palm of their hands, Flair launched Garvin headfirst into the steel support that held the cage around the ring. The steel cage. Skull on metal. Ron went down hard. And like that, with the WWF firmly in their sights, Crockett and the NWA made the strongest move they could to give their biggest draw, best worker, and most recognizable face, Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Championship, once again in front of a rabid crowd. The Nature Boy has just become the five-time heavyweight champion of the world and one of the most physical battles in the history of this sport. Ponder. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Take a sip of something if you have it close by. When the lead, I gotta take a sip. Don't go anywhere. We're 38 minutes in. This one right here has been a banger and an eye-opener. I'm a little bit all over the place, but it's to be expected. That's who the fuck I am. It's getting heavier by the day. Business is about to pick up. Don't go anywhere. There's going to be more editions. You never know what's going to happen here. Sometimes I drop 30 or 40 videos in a week. Clips, classics, in-ring action, live shows. Sometimes I'll drop 80 of everything, including live shows. When the red light went off, I was exhausted. And Tony and I had gelled well, and the talents in the ring gave everything they had. But I knew I was still learning how to sell that emotion. that I wasn't genuinely feeling back to our audience back home. I wanted them to feel what I felt, but I wasn't all the way there on just how to make that happen. But as happens in life, I had the pieces, and they were coming together for me. I still had a long way to go. Don't ever let that stop you. Ever. In the ring, I saw Flair could do it. He could sell just about any emotion to the people in the stands, and I know that's where I wanted to get to. I knew that I wanted to be able to reach them at home the same way. Keep them on the edge of their seats. Make them come back for more. Shut it off or turn it down or go off the air with the fans literally almost to the edge of their seats. Wait, what's going to... Oh, no, you got to be kidding me. No, gee, come on. What? You did what? You said it's done? That's it? It's over? What time is it? Did the VCR run out? Did we lose power? It's over? It's finished? I got to wait till next week? Come on, there's got to be a mistake. Go to the magazines. Go to the hotlines. Wait for next month's magazines. Next week's program. Somebody's got to say something. Tell you what, how do they just go off the air like that? I got you. Admit it. And if not, then you're the kind of fan that I want here. Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. Here we go. We'll refocus. In the ring, as I said, what Flair did, and JR, myself, that's why this is so relatable as an insider, a former performer and talent. Yeah, I know. It's me, the GOC. It's kind of hard to understand because no one gives you this kind of access. But I do. I didn't sign a contract. I didn't work for the WWF. I didn't work for WCW, NWA. I worked a lot in territories and the independents. I started my journey in 1983 by meeting the Tonga Kid, Little Sam, Samu, Big Sam, at the local nightclubs, and then going to World Gym through Mike Katz and seeing everyone from Jesse Ventura to Ivan Putski to Mr. Fuji to Rick Morales to Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, everyone you could think of in the day at that World Gym. Built relationships. Went back to Tony Altamori School. Quest, legendary Quest, 1983-84. Couldn't make it. Had injuries. Didn't suck it up, didn't tell them, was afraid they wouldn't accept me. But when they took me to the test to see whether you're in or out, I got in there, took my beatings, and I'll never forget them. Beal after Beal after Beal after body slam after body slam after body slam. The ropes, all of it. Didn't last long. Kind of left with my tail between my legs, but I came back. And tried to weasel my way in, thinking about managing this, that. I didn't pay the fees, being honest. They were fortunate enough to allow me around to stay around and learn the business, and from there it went on into 25 years behind the walls. You guys know that. Bounty hunting, repo man, bodyguard, security for all the major acts in music. I've said this and repeated it, and if you read the description above the channel, you'll understand what I am. And then, obviously, with all of us, a lot of us, marriage, families, things happen, divorces, whatever it is that happens, you have other responsibilities. So I will admit that physically for a good 5-year period, maybe less, it was put on the back burner as I was in behind the walls and supporting and raising a family. But then it hit me again in the late 80s. Traveled through the legendary WCW territory at that time. Long story will be here forever. Samoan SWAT team, Road Warriors, Doom, Michael Hayes, Jack Victory will be here forever. Until I made my managerial debut in 1991. So the journey's been 40 years. In ring, I don't know, 20, Still doing it today with broadcasting, color commentary, because I wore every hat. Sweeper of floors, promoter, ticket seller, hanging up flyers, coming out 2 and 3 times for interviews, promos, everything, relaying words to the boys. There isn't anything I haven't tried or done in this business. That's the difference. No matter what level, just like in baseball, there's A ball, double A, triple A, then there's the majors. Then, of course, if you make it as an all-star on an all-star team, or if you make it to the Hall of Fame, and you guys know I'm in the class of 2019 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Locally, after the WWE or TNA or WCW, NWA Hall of Fame, George Thragos Hall of Fame is another one, upstate New York International. There's not many better halls of fame than the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Look at the alumni in there. Thank you, Joe Brewing. So just to get off track here, I'm way off track here, but this is going to take up a good hour content so you guys can enjoy. Get your mind off of everything else. We're almost done with this one anyway. Again, Ric Flair, Ronnie Garvin, the NWA, 1987. You guys get the picture. So that's how I ended up at Starrcade, my very first working a pay-per-view. My first time working with the NWA, and my first time to booth with my new longtime good friend, fellow AEW announcer, Tony Schiavone. And now I'm going back to go forward here, so bear with me. Another one of the first, the night was also, in my opinion, and an error in judgment on the part of management. This was the first Starrcade event held outside of Greensboro, North Carolina, and maybe a sign that my new company was more focused on chasing new national audiences than it was in serving the audience that already loved it the most. And I agree, knowing the history, people that lived through it and talked to it, and things that I've heard and read myself. That's a very true statement. Both men fatigued. They looked beaten, each other useless and senseless in this confrontation for the heavyweight champion of the world. Ric Flair is very resilient. He has a very high threshold of pain, but when you talk about pain, Ronnie Garvin takes you to a different level. I was 35 years old, and even though I wasn't as nearly good as I thought I was trying with everything I had at that time to match the intensity and passion that I saw play out in the ring. Both champion and challenger chopped the hell out of each other. Flair bounced all around the canvas, while Round walked him down, never backing up, never giving an inch. After 15 minutes of war, both men, bloodied and battered from trading chops and pinning attempts, finally with the crowd in the palm of their hands, as we repeat this, we're going down the same road, I understand, Flair launched Garvin headfirst into the steel support that held the cage around the ring. Skull on metal. Ron went down hard. And just like that, with WWF firmly in their sights, Crockett and the NWA made the strongest move they could make to give their biggest draw, best worker, and most recognizable face, Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Championship once again in front of a rabid crowd. The Nature Boy has just become the 5-time heavyweight champion of the world in one of the most physical battles in the history of this sport. When the red light went off, I was exhausted. Tony and I had gelled well, and talents in the ring gave everything they had. But I knew I was still learning how to sell that emotion, and I was generally feeling back to our audience at home. And again, I'm going through this again. We're reading this for the first time. In the ring, I saw Flair could do it. He could sell just about any emotion to the people in the stands. And I knew that's where I wanted to get to. I knew, as I said earlier, 5 minutes, rewind the tape. I knew I wanted to be able to reach them at home the same way. Because that's how I felt. When I was fortunate and blessed enough to be on Fight TV or do any tapings, either it'd be YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Instagram, Twitter. If you're performing live, it could be at a local bar, it could be at an establishment, it could be an arena, a venue, a big building, we're outside, a barbecue, wherever it is you perform. You have to take your craft serious, whether it's 1, 5, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000 people. If you're blessed enough to be able to perform, that is the one bottom line that has to be consistent. I'm just telling it like it is. The Nature Boy has, like we said, 5-time. Tony and Ross are exhausted at this point. They gelled well, their talents in the ring, everything they had, but I knew I was still learning how to sell that emotion. And I was gently feeling back to our audience at home. After all, selling isn't just the job of the hero of the story. It's also a vital tool for the narrator, too. And boy, was I trying. To give a synopsis of the last 30 to 60 seconds of rumbling and what Jim Ross was feeling at that point. First time in Crockett, aka former NWA, which we know went into WCW, and his first match on pay-per-view is Flair and Ronnie Garvin at a sold-out UIC Pavilion, November 26th, 1987. I am 24 at that time. A couple years behind the scenes into my career, behind the walls. Already had my first daughter. How life changes and how you connect things, and I'll never forget that. And that's what I hope to relate to you guys here at over 50 minutes in, off on a tangent or not. Come back, I'm going to throw a couple more stories out. I'm in a good mood, as you can tell. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it. Oh, what? You don't have to wait that long. Come back. Come back. I got to moisten the pipes, man. Coffee, water, any suggestions? Lemon tea? Red Bull? What, a beer? No. All right. Stand by. Don't you dare miss it.